Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day or afternoon or evening, depending on where you're watching this from. In this video, I just wanted to go over and share a few of the top reasons why I decided to move to Thailand and why I've been living over here for just over 4 years now. So, to get things started, I'm just gonna say it wasn't intentional, right? Basically, I had bought a one-way ticket to Bali, Indonesia. This is a place that I had been wanting to visit for many years. I saw it as an up-and-coming destination for digital nomads, remote workers, entrepreneurs, people doing interesting things, essentially. So I bought that one-way ticket in late 2019, November 2019, I remember distinctly. I was sitting at my kitchen table at my house in Austin, Texas, where I was renting at the time, not too far from downtown. And I was just thinking, like, I gotta get out of here, right? Because at the time, I was delivering food to people on my bike using this popular app called Favor and DoorDash and a few others. And that was essentially how I was paying my rent and just getting by in Austin, right? Then at the same time, while I was riding around delivering food to lazy rich people, I saw homeless people everywhere, camped out on the sidewalks in downtown Austin. And for me, this was unacceptable, right? I didn't like the direction the city was heading, and also had to ask myself the very real and serious question, you know, if I decide to stay in the US, am I going to end up on the street like these poor homeless people, right? And for me, that was not an option, simply not an option. Now, since I was only able to get this job, basically delivering food to people, and nobody else would hire me, you know, I applied for hundreds and hundreds of jobs, and oftentimes I'd never hear anything back from the employer or the hiring manager. And so basically, I had become unemployable, which is something that frequently happens to entrepreneurs. They kind of just price themselves out of the job market. And that's what happened to me, essentially, right? So, if you don't know already, like, Austin's one of the most expensive cities in the country. Yeah, obviously you got San Francisco, New York, Los Angeles. These places are even more expensive than Austin. And actually a lot of people from California are now moving to Austin because of lower taxes and overall better quality of life, these sorts of things. But for me, that wasn't an option either, because I didn't want to live in the major city anymore. And, you know, I saw the direction that things were heading, and essentially I just bought that one-way ticket to Bali and didn't look back, right? So I flew to Bali. I was in Bali for roughly 2 months. My visa expired, I extended it again, and then after that, I flew into Singapore. I'd never been to Singapore before, didn't even really know where it was on a map. I just picked out a place. Hey, it's okay. There's a dog barking at me here. Yeah, I didn't know where it was on a map. So I went to Singapore for 2 weeks. Luckily, I had some free hotel accommodation there where I just reached out to a bunch of hotels offering photography and marketing services, and I was able to stay there for about 2 weeks. No expenses for the most part. Then, shortly after that, I decided I don't really want to be in Singapore that much. It's also a very expensive place to live. It's just, you know, another big city, not all that interesting to me, just being perfectly honest. So I booked another one-way ticket, this time to Phuket, the largest island in Thailand. And also, at the time, didn't even really know where Thailand was on a map because to be honest, geography was never really my strong suit in school. I was more of a math whiz, and you know, I have a computer science degree, So I've got that in my back pocket just in case if you know, if shit hits the fan, I can always find some coding job or, you know, go back to the computer science degree. But for the most part, that's not what I want to do anymore, right? I'm way more interested in digital marketing and personal branding, and, you know, obviously doing this YouTube channel. This is one of my passions as well, just to, you know, provide value to people and get them interested in what I have to offer, right? So that's why I love making these YouTube videos. But notwithstanding, let's get back to the story. By the way, I'm not doing any editing on this video. It's just me walking and talking the entire time, and I don't do any editing. So it's real and raw, right? Straight to the point. No scripting either. So after that, I bought that one-way ticket to Phuket and didn't look back. You know, I stayed in Phuket for a couple months, kind of traveled around Thailand, went on some epic motorbike trips from Chiang Mai to Bangkok and back up again. That was one of my favorites. And, you know, this was, keep in mind, during the pandemic. So essentially all the borders were closed. It wasn't possible to do the visa run, the border runs. So essentially, immigration, the government, offered a visa amnesty at the time for about, I believe it was 3 months. And I was in Bangkok at the time, basically under quarantine at a hostel in Chinatown. I still remember vividly, it was the Luck Hostel. And essentially I was almost being held like a prisoner there. They would cater food, they'd bring in meals every single day, 3 times a day. And I was just cooped up at that hostel for about, I think, like a month and a half. And luckily I was meeting people there. I was able to hang out with other hostel guests, and I was also working on my business at the time as well, launching a consulting business, which I'm still doing today, by the way. Link in the description below where you can check out my website, you can grab the free ebook, you can read a little bit more about my story, and you also have the option to schedule either a free discovery call or a paid consultation call. And I also have a coaching program as well if that's something you're interested in. But enough about that. Back to the story. So yeah, I was in Bangkok, and then I ended up going up to Chiang Mai for a while, and, you know, did this motorbike trip, which was sort of crazy looking back on it now, but I survived. That's the most important thing. And shortly after I finished that motorbike trip, I was, you know, going through a specific dating app, and I just happened across my now fiancée. So she happened to be in Chiang Mai at the time, visiting for work, and she popped up on my feed. We really hit it off, and now we've been together just over 3 years now. I recently proposed, we're engaged, and I couldn't be happier. In fact, while traveling in Vietnam and Philippines for about a month, I was really starting to miss her. We were talking on the phone almost every day, like clockwork, because obviously communication is very, very important for any long-term relationship. And yeah, so she just stayed in touch for the entire month. And now I'm very grateful to be back in Samui again. This is where I've spent, I would say, probably just over the majority of my time in Thailand. You know, I've traveled all over the country. I've even been up to Isan, like Khon Kaen, Buriram, Nan, all those areas. But for me, it's just a little bit, there's just mostly Thai people there. And I feel like I would get pretty bored up in Isan after a while. Even here in Samui, I sometimes get bored. Although, hello. Although there's always things that you can find to do if you're creative. And I find that my work takes up a lot of my time as well. So anytime I'm feeling, you know, stressed or I don't know what to do, then I usually just go back to the grind, back to my work, creating these YouTube videos, managing my Facebook group, doing some coaching right now with a guy in Bali, and always finding new things to work on, right? Keeping the projects going, because I find, you know, if I were to retire at some point, which I would like to eventually, no idea when that's going to happen. It's not like I have tons of money in the bank or investors or trust fund or anything like that. But I need to be continuing to work on different projects in order to keep my mind active. And this is one thing that's super important also. As you continue to age in years, you need to find something to keep your brain going, right? Otherwise, you're going to develop Alzheimer's or dementia later in life, most likely, assuming it's not genetic. You need to keep your focus on something, right? Pushing towards some sort of goal. And yeah, that's just one of the things I do. It's not like I have a job that's keeping me busy 8 hours a day. So I have to stay creative and find things to keep me busy, right? But at the same time, I also have the freedom and flexibility to set my own hours. It's not like I have a boss standing over my shoulder all day long telling me what to do. Although I was working for a company for about a year here, a Thai company based in Bangkok, but working remotely from Samui. And I was working about, 10, 12 hours a week, so it wasn't even part-time. It was very, very flexible schedule. But at the same time, I really wasn't getting paid either. So eventually I just decided I can't do this anymore. I'm just going to continue working on my own projects. I don't see the point of working for somebody else if I'm not even getting paid, right? But I did learn a lot at the company about marketing, lead generation, sales, all these sorts of things. So it wasn't a total loss. It was definitely a good, kind of more like a master apprenticeship, essentially. So now I'm taking a lot of those learnings and I'm applying it back to my own online businesses, this YouTube channel, and just basically growing a community, a personal brand, these sorts of things. So this video is going quite long. Again, no editing, fully unscripted. I'm just walking along this beautiful road here in Samui. This is actually the shortcut road that goes to Mae Nam. And I usually take this road when I'm going to immigration because it's on the other side of the mountain in Mae Nam. And it's just beautiful. It's, I would say, probably the most beautiful drive on the entire island. And luckily for this video, I don't have to worry about running out of space because when I was in the Philippines, I accidentally deleted all of my photos and videos on my phone. I'm not really sure how this happened. It was a complete accident. But luckily, now I have a lot more space. And I shoot all of these videos on my phone, just like I'm doing right now. I have a Xiaomi 11T Pro. Been using this phone for years. I would say maybe 3 years now. Works like a charm. And then I also have a little DJI gimbal. My other one was getting quite old and it actually finally kicked the bucket, so I had to buy a new one when I was in Da Nang in Vietnam. And yeah, I definitely enjoyed my travels for about a month. I specifically went over to the Philippines to attend a digital nomad conference I've talked about in some of my other videos as well. And I was speaking at this event, right? So once I landed in Manila, I was committed. I had to make it happen, right? And that's what I did. So it was great to finally visit the Philippines, but that being said, as soon as I arrived back at the airport in Thailand, I just felt this overwhelming sense of relief to be back in Thailand again. Woke up at my hotel the next morning. Hospitality excellent, great food, and just so felt welcome, like back home again, right? Even though I'm obviously American, right? Not from Thailand, but I've been spending most of my time over here, 4 years, just over. And after a certain period of time, it starts to feel more like home than your home country. And I found that to be the case. I just love the people over here, peaceful culture, delicious food, beautiful weather, pretty much year round. Right now, today, it's a little bit cloudy and humid, but I'm not complaining. And it just feels good to get out and walk. I almost never walk along this road because a lot of times I'm afraid of soy dogs. So in Thailand, they have these soy dogs. They're basically stray dogs that wander the streets. And yeah, this is one of the reasons I don't usually walk on this road. But no problem today, no problem whatsoever. My fiancée is also scared of dogs as well. Anytime she sees a dog starts barking, she gets scared. And so it's one thing I gotta be careful about. But yeah, just want to share value in this video, kind of go over my backstory a little bit, what inspired me to move to Thailand. And you know, like I said at the beginning of the video, it was sort of an accident, but I think the timing was perfect because I flew to Bali a few months before the shit hit the fan during the pandemic, and just happened to arrive in Thailand before the borders closed, right? And now obviously that's not really a situation anymore. I can pretty much travel freely anytime I want. But for the most part, I prefer to just stay here in Samui because it's usually very quiet and peaceful, especially during this season. It's low season, so there's not a lot of traffic, people, tourists. Could go for a walk on the beach. There's almost nobody around. So probably not so great for the businesses here, but for peace of mind and health and wellness and just those sorts of things, it's definitely a good time to visit Samui during low season. And the prices also go down too. So if you're looking for a place to rent, like a nice little 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom house on the island, I would recommend doing it during low season when the prices are lower, because there's not as much demand, but there's still plenty of supply on the islands, right? And obviously you can visit Phuket as well. Phuket has a lot to offer. It's the largest island in Thailand. I've spent quite a few months living there myself, but there's just a lot of things that I personally don't really like about Phuket. One of them is just that it's a really big island, so lots of traffic, pollution. It's kind of like Bangkok on an island, right? Whereas Samui is a much smaller. I'd say it's like half the size of Phuket. There's really only one road that goes around the entire island, the ring road, and then obviously that's all the roads that shoot off of that, including this one that I'm walking on right now. But it's just got like a much more local, laid back, relaxed vibe in Samui, I would say, just my personal opinion. But yeah, I would recommend, like, if you're coming over to Thailand, you're looking for a place to stay long term, then you should travel around a bit, you know, check out Bangkok, Chiang Mai, especially not during burning season, but other than that, Chiang Mai has a lot to offer. Phuket, you can always go up to Isan as well if you want to see what that area is like. And then come on down to Samui and the islands in the south, because other than like the constant construction nowadays with big cement trucks driving around all over the place, it definitely has a lot to offer. And after traveling around Thailand for, I would say, probably about a year, I just kept coming back to Samui. And you know, one of the reasons for that, one of the big reasons I would say, is because of my now fiancée. She was working for a company here for about 5 years, and so she kept coming back to Samui. I was in Bangkok, and then I just keep traveling back and forth between Samui. And then after a point, I was like, wow, this place is beautiful, it's amazing, it's paradise. So I just decided to move here, and now been here over 2 years now, with the occasional visa run, border run, that sort of thing. But it's just kind of the price that you have to pay to stay in Thailand long term. Obviously there's a lot of other visa options you could choose from. You've got the long-term resident visa, which I have friends, retired friends, who are on that one, but that's more difficult to qualify for, obviously. And then you got the smart visa, which I was on personally for about 6 months while I was launching a startup. Then I found this company who was much further ahead, doing the same thing that I was working on for my startup. So I decided to relinquish the smart visa after 6 months and switch over to the work permit. And then unfortunately I had to give that up when I quit my job. But it is what it is, you know. Just got to keep moving forward. And, you know, there's plenty of other options. There's always opportunities out there if you know where to look. And it's even on an island. You don't have to live in a major, you know, big city to find job opportunities. You can also work remotely. You can start your own online business, consulting business, start growing your community, building a personal brand. Obviously launch a YouTube channel. This is something I would highly recommend. Because, you know, I've been doing this for roughly 3 years now and some change, and it's definitely not an overnight success. You know, it's taken me just over 2 years to actually start earning any sort of income from the channel, but now it's basically passive. You know, I could continue creating videos, or I could take a break if I want to, and it's just going to continue bringing in ad revenue. And obviously over time, there's no reason why that's not going to continue going up. So more impressions, more ad revenue, more subscribers, more views, more people scheduling calls, you know, booking me for the knowledge that I have about Thailand and all these sorts of things. So yeah, if you want to make a more significant impact, highly recommend launching a YouTube channel. And I will also leave a link in the description below with some of my courses available on Gumroad. They are free or pay whatever you want. And I've got courses on all sorts of different topics because I'm already doing it, right? So I'm already doing it, and now I want to teach others how to achieve similar levels of success, right? And then I also have a Facebook group, link in the description below to that. 13,000 members, mostly digital nomads or remote workers from all over the world. Just recently started working with a coach in Bali, and he's teaching me the recipe for success to start monetizing this Facebook group, because I've got so many people in this group, and for one reason or another, I'm not getting any paying clients from the group. So now I'm just setting it up so it's fully optimized and providing a lot of value in that group as well. So if you want to check that out, link in the description below. And now I'm getting relatively close to my house. Gonna wrap up this YouTube video pretty soon. But again, no editing on this video whatsoever. It's fully unscripted, no editing. I'm gonna plan on doing more videos like this one, where it's just a steady stream of consciousness, sharing knowledge, dropping value. And yeah, so stay tuned for more video updates from my home base here in Koh Samui. And again, let me know if you're planning a trip over here, vacation, or better yet, if you want to move to Koh Samui, or let's say Phuket, Chiang Mai, Bangkok, doesn't really matter, somewhere in Thailand. Drop a comment down below. I'd be happy to help point you in the right direction. I'm a wealth of knowledge. Been living over here for 4 years now, so there's not too many things that I don't know. And yeah, with that being said, take care, stay safe. Peace from Thailand. Till the next one. See you soon.